Impact on the left there, he's just psychotically aggressive. He just goes for the throat no matter what. It seems to be his go-to move, whereas Armani on the right-hand side, much more of a macro-focused Zerg player.
The first map is going to be Ephemeron. You're now loaded in the top left. As the blue Zerg, he is Armani. Afrika Freaks.
I love that team name. All right, and down here in the bottom right-hand side in the red, he is Impact.
I mean, I'd prefer if KT Fingerboom was the
best StarCraft team of all time.
Yeah, absolutely. That would have been better here.
That's one of those ones you bring up and people go like, "Why are you making up this silly thing?" You're like, "No, it was a real team."
So I taught like a class on StarCraft actually, and one of the first things I showed them to get like a laugh was what they used to wear back in like 2000. Basically,
like shiny.
It was the spacesuits.
Yes.
It was like, well, it's a space game, and it's super futuristic, pig. Like they're gonna be in spacesuits.
Like, I've got a holographic jacket. It's pretty cool. Like, is it?
That was good times. That was a long, long time ago, and here we are, like 20 years after Broodor's release and popularity in Korea, and we have just, I mean, the continued domination of Koreans. We have 2 Koreans here fighting it out to actually make it through the round of 24, and one of them fairly likely to make it through the lower bracket as well, whoever loses.
Yeah, you know, Impact historically has so much more stage presence and just experience in these live events. And that's the one thing which I think is going for Impact. I think if you put these guys in their bedrooms, practicing on their setups at home where they're very comfortable, I think Armani would win 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4 times. But here, live event, jet lag's starting to kick in. We're getting into the evening now. I mean, let's see exactly what Armani can bring. Definitely a player who's been improving a lot over the last few months, has been doing well in those weekly cups as well. But, you know, Zerg versus Zerg. It's an action-packed matchup. Anything can happen here.
Yeah, you know, we had a lot of mix-up with PvP, and even TVZ has a couple like flip-flops between how people are playing it. Has anything really been changed in ZVZ in the last month or two, the off-season?
Not really. I would just say everybody is getting better at refining Raynor, you know, the Mutaling, Zergling, upgraded Zerglings, Mutas diving around. That's just reaching new levels of execution. You're also seeing people who are getting better at spotting it and kind of setting up their Nidus Worm, Queen Roach all-ins to counter it even earlier and earlier, making sure, of course, they get that on time. So there's, I guess, in terms of openings, there are more tricky, hey, look, I'm going Evo Chamber, Roach, Wall-Off. I've got Queens. This is Gasless. No, I'm going Spire. I'm actually just going upgraded Zerglings and Mutas as well. So tricky ways of getting into the Mutalisks has also been very common.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's you know, it kind of, yeah, like you said, like Raynor was a big influence for that because it did feel like the safest possible way was just the kind of boring Roach versus Roach. Then we had a lot of styles pop up. Korea has always been, certainly in my opinion, like more aggressive in ZVZ, a lot more just like testing the waters all the time. But I say that, and it's also just absolutely possible that everyone just macros. Now in this game, they're not testing the waters with Lings, but we do have a weird thing happening. Impact is going for a super fast lair, where Armani doing something a little more standard.
I think this is the exact, it was a fast third Queen as well. Oh my gosh, Lambo was just talking about this. I was just having a snack over there talking to Lambo. He was saying this is a build order he does, where he rushes 2 base Muta. And I think in that case he actually had a Baneling Nest though, so this time no Baneling Nest, he's got the Evo, the Roach Horn. I feel like this is just going to be Fast Spire, melee upgrade on the Evo Chamber, fast third gas. I mean, there's just no defense for Impact. If Armani were to do a big Ling Bane pressure this game, I would 2% chance of holding that for Impact? Like,
we've seen that happen. We have.
There's just no way he would survive. Like, because he just has no tech, no Ling speed. All he could do is put his Queens on his ramp. Even walling the front wouldn't do anything because he's got no ranged firepower. So a big gamble of an opening for Impact. And Armani, he's coming out with some light pressure now, but it's kind of late.
Yeah, you know, if he had made those 12 Lings a bit earlier, maybe he's like, wait a second, you know, but it's coming out kind of late. He might still be able to sneak in a couple units. There is a wall at this point with a Queen, I suppose, blocking it, but his lair is going to come down at a more normal time, so there's really no access to a kind of a freebie Overseer. You're not supposed to really get your Overload to the main, and I just look at the minimap as I say that, and there's a flipping Overload to the main. Like, did he actually go in and see the lair time? I mean, no, the lair's in the natural, but he's obviously seen the lack of third base. He's got to like wonder, is this a real slow Roach game, or are you tricking me? Because you're right, it's a very popular trick nowadays.
Yeah, it's grown in popularity. These Lings are going to try to get in here. The Queen with Transfuse Energies up front, that's a problem. He's not able to pull her back.
That's a big problem.
And there are 3 Queens, so there's a definite tax being paid here. And because melee and Ling speed was here, building Zerglings is not that big of a problem. So, I mean, in the end, You take out a queen, you force some zerglings. Not a great trade there for Armani at the end of it. Now building more roaches and more zerglings, but there's already mutas on the way. I feel like tech-wise, Armani is so far behind it. Impact has just gotten away with a disgustingly greedy opening.
I'm with you there. Like, I think the plan is to maybe just buy time with some units, right? He's actually making a... Oh, because you want to save the roach. Buy some time, but he is trying to get to queens. He's going to try and play it, but when you're at this stage, like, this really is quite an early spire. Like, it snowballs fairly quickly, I feel. It's different when you're already saturated on 3 bases. Spore Crawler is kind of easy to afford. You just decide to go into Hydra as opposed to playing a continued roach game. But this is like a very early one that is going to have the chance to not just be 6 mutas, but very close to 10, and then very quickly to 12 and 14, and whatever Impact really wants to do. And they're going to be upgraded. Armani is going to go for a bit of a, I don't want to say it's a Hail Mary play, but getting into Infestors, it's very difficult to do, I think, in 3 bases, and then you have to like basically take like perfect defenses, because your 4th base is going to be very difficult to take too, as you're waiting for those Infestors to pop and then actually get like a really good fight, and you still have Lings to worry about, honestly.
Well, that's the problem. The worker count right now, I agree with what you said, Hail Mary Infestors, because it's going to be like 2 or 3 of them and not much else. Armani does not have a lot of income to work with, because this is a point where the mutas have surprised you so much. You've got to throw all these spore crawlers down at the last minute, and you don't really have that big economy to absorb that much of a mineral investment. Now Impact has freedom to take a 3rd, could even take a quick 4th base. We're going to see those upgrades roll in. We may see a quick Baneling speed coming in behind this. Already, of course, very quick flyer attack upgrades, so Impact just looking to dominate this map. He's going to keep branching in with the Zerglings. The mutas are just looking for any openings that he can find.
Yeah, the Overlords are freebies. Sometimes you see them skip an Overlord because they think they have a chance to hit the natural or something, but Overlord should be freebies. There's one on the bottom left he might eventually get too. It looks like Armani will not be taking any very quick abrupt damage, but the idea is that Impact's going to have... he can choose anything he wants to do here. 4th base, 5th base can be faster. He could just try and even overwhelm with Banelings eventually. I don't think he's actually thrown on a Baneling nest, but he could just go overwhelm with Mutas as well and just, you know, continue dodging the Infestors. It's tricky to be this early up against the ropes and contained, but that is the situation. It's not that Armani's totally out. No, definitely not. But it's just, it feels very uncomfortable as Armani's like defenses right now.
He's still building queens as well, and I get you do need queens for defense, but I'm starting to wonder if it's going to actually be like a queen roach infested push even, something really bizarre. Interestingly, Impact has not built up the drone count that fast. Only 61 drones, despite having a lot of freedom, and that's because Impact has been hitting that gas as hard and fast as possible. That's why we've got such a fast +2 melee. We've got +2 flyer attack already on the way for Impact. He's even going to take out a couple of workers and a gas. The bounce damage being fantastic. Just 2 or 3 fungals won't cut it for taking these mutas out. So you really don't want to show your hand with those infestors. You've got to kind of wait till you have 4 or 5, 6 fungals ready to chain. Otherwise, those mutas are going to get damaged. Then they're just going to pull out, regenerate, and come back later.
Yeah, he will have a decent number of Infestors after these pop, but yeah, he shows his hand with the 3, as you were saying. A little bit of a split, too, from Impact there. Is going to lessen the damage. Another Infestor does pop for another good fungal.
One more.
Half of them are going to pop, it looks like. Oh, no, seriously, there's no other Infestor coming? Oh, no.
This is exactly what I was talking about. Every Zerg who's gone Infestors versus Mutas has felt that pain where you're so close to taking them out, but then suddenly it's a lot of energy. You've only taken out a few of them, and Lings just waltz right in. The front door is open. Oh, this is not a quiet, calm village where you can leave your front door open. This is Zerg versus Zerg, Armani, against upgraded Zerglings as well. That is rough.
That's the other equation to the Muta play. The Muta play will say, look over here, I'm the scariest part, and then +2, Lings will come forward and either just slip past your defenses or even sometimes take on your defenses. A couple Hydras, left alone, a couple Roaches, not enough. And Banelings, they are still one-shotting these Lings, but it's very easy for the Mutas to snipe any Banelings that are a bit slower than the rest of the army.
Oh, those feels when a Ravager is trying to support the Spore Crawlers versus the Mutas. Like, that's the point where you know you're desperate. Landing a Corrosive Pile on Mutas it's a little bit like throwing a pebble at a fighter jet. It just is not going to land.
That's difficult to do, so I've heard. But the Infestors are still alive. So we give credit to the idea of that perfect fungal, but so far Impact's been able to at least lessen the damage here. If all 20 whatever mutas pop at once, then suddenly that's the comeback. If 5 pop at once, it's like, you know, like Impact's got 4 bases, eventually on a 5 probably, and still has a lot of choices. Like he still is on only Lings and mutas, as far as I can tell, but he is ripping apart Armani, so it's working.
Where did they come
There's
from?
the Bailey Nest.
Did they just
I think they might have they actually just might have waltzed in, to be honest. The Infestors also can't be left alone anywhere because the Lings can surround them. I mean, it's still 3 bases. You'd think you could defend everything on 3 bases. Apparently not. More drones go down.
Yeah, Lurkerton is coming in now. Armani, obviously, Infestors, Lurkers, just going to shut down anything on the ground. If you get enough Hydras as well, going to shut down the air. Impact still only on about 3 and a bit base saturation at 68 workers. So it hasn't really gone to Hive yet. Is now adding Flyer Armor as well as Baneling speed. So it looks like Impact has decided, you know what, my opponent is down in the dumps economically. Rather than trying to tech up to something like, say, Ultralisks or Lurkers of my own, I'm just going to make enough of these mobile units that I will continue to swamp and swarm over you. So Lings, Mutas, Banes, these are units which are amazingly mobile, amazingly fast, and all incredibly fragile. So there's always hope. Don't get me wrong. Armani's in a terrible spot. Impact should be able to dismantle him. But because he's staying here on this Mutaling Bane, there is just that little bit of hope that he could pull this out.
He's trying to dodge the fungal. That's pretty sick. A couple of Hydras are going to try and catch any weak mutas on the retreat, but turns around on him really quickly. They were not weak enough. Spore Crawler was not quite helping. He has 3 Spore Crawlers back there.
Banelings?
Only one is affecting it.
Or is it Ling?
Either way, a lot of stuff is going to happen very soon. It was Banelings the natural. 17 more drones go down, plus a few more. 21. Mutas are not going to go into that third because there are so many Spore Crawlers, but just continued economic damage. But like, it really is not the game I expected from Impact. I really thought he was going to go up to like 80 drones.
Yeah.
And like, maybe 5 bases. But he stayed, around 60 for a while, 4, and now he's up to 70, and he only just recently added on Banelings and Centrifugal Hooks. And he's not even committing to that attack that you were describing, which I thought was still a fair thing to do. But no, now actually he's doing his own potential, Lurkers with his own Hydras then on the way. I wonder if that is his intent. Maybe he will play around with Ultras with that Hive. But
yeah, I think it's looking like what you said, Lurkers, probably Vipers coming out, just playing the traditional endgame, which is cool to see that Impact has that flexibility. And I like that it's not a big headbutt, Let's clump up 80 Banelings and roll them into Infestors. No, it's run-bys, it's harassment. And I think finally we're going to see Armani clean one up with almost no damage. Loses a Lurker and a Hydra there for about 15 Banes. Well worth it for Armani, who's just trying to hang on. He's making more Ravages, funnily enough. Not really the unit I would be choosing here. Ravages, of course, just have less hit points, and you're never going to land Bile on Banelings, Mutas, or Zerglings. Maybe just to heal up some low hit point Roaches. Either way, Armani here is playing just Defense Simulator, and the win condition is Impact getting over-eager and running into the Lurkers.
Right, because at 13 minutes, we now have to talk about, Armani, he only kept 30 supply down for most of the game. He's obviously still alive. That's really great. But he is going to run out of minerals to mine soon, as well as gas, where Impact is free to grab a 5th base, a 6th base, whatever he wants, especially if he gets maxed out and actually starts accruing a bank. So it's like, Armani's done better. He survived a very stressful game where it was just like, I didn't catch the mutas. Like, oh, shoot, what do I do now? But does he really have a chance at the late game? Does he really have a chance to get maxed out where Impact should easily max out on his choice of units? I don't think Armani actually has that chance.
As long as it was Mutaling Bane, there was that chance, right? But now that there's Lurkers and Hive, it's like, ooh, this really is going to get very difficult. Those mutas flying in the back, spreading out, leaving some to go harass behind the base, the others to poke around the side of the natural.
It's going to be Lurker versus... if Armani could also afford not just Lurkers and their upgrades, but also a couple of Vipers, maybe he does have the better control in the late game. I hesitate to believe that. As much as Impact is kind of labeled as a cheesy player, he's very familiar with that late game. There are enough CVZs in Korea going to even extremely late game sometimes. But
yeah, Serral changed the landscape of Zerg vs. Zerg after that 2018 Grand Finals. We've seen all players in the world learn at least some, at least a decent level of Viper Lurker control, that Hive Tech control. These Lurkers here coming forward. I don't think there's been any Vipers for Impact. I think it's just the Roach Hydra Lurker upgrades coming in as well.
Armani starting to branch out into a Nidus Swarm to try and actually get across the map. I do like that play. Can he afford to do it, though? Like, literally having units not on the front lines as he's being approached. The mutants taking them out, still a big deal. They're over Spore Crawlers, they're over Hydras. The Fungal's working out favorably for him finally, as only a handful escaped to that left side. But on the right side, the Lurkers do encroach on the third base. The Fungals, I mean, they do like a very tiny amount of damage, but it's just not enough from Impact here. And the Nidus Storm's going up in Impact's main.
Oh my god, I mean, that was a bit of a YOLO with those mutas. They just kind of dived into their doom. Almost all the mutas are gone. They are being replaced by better units, but that Nidus Swarm, if Lurkers get out in your base, this can turn things upside down very quickly.
Dang, that's not supposed to happen. Impact's like, where did this come from? How am I not just winning this game? He's actually moving across the map, so he can't really afford to come back. All that technology is going to go down. All his reinforcements are going to go down.
He's got to push on the other side.
He's got to.
He's going to commit to it. He's diving into the natural. I'm not sure how many Lurkers were left back at Impact's, at Armani's base. Armani's getting pushed into. He's pushing in here. Impact is going to set up a few Lurkers, but we do need to see the other side of the map as well in the near future. Those Infestors there hanging around. The Hydras have pushed in, but Lurkers come out to defend. Lovely utilization. He pulled some of the offensive Lurkers back. If he can defend this area, Armani might be able to get this.
He's taking a fight directly with Hydras. The Lurkers were a little less involved, but he was up against Roach Hydra, and the Roaches do a great job of actually protecting their Hydra brethren. Looks like the remaining mutas try to take advantage of maybe not enough Hydras. They maybe took out an Infestor, but not enough.
They did get the Nidus Swarm temporarily, so these Infestors and Hydras are just trying to guard the high ground for a moment. Oh, the Fungal's very good at slowing this down. Needs to get a few Lurkers out. As long as you get at least one Lurker on top of this ramp, I think you're good.
Yeah. I mean, all the technology is already dead, but you can grab the spawning pool and just ensure that nothing ever comes back up into that main base. Impact still has his Roach Warren alive, but he's trying to go up a choke against Fungals and Lurkers.
There's no detection. That Lurker on the right-hand side, Armani hasn't noticed it. He just used all of his Fungals. Ah, he finally did manage to get it with the Lurker Splash because another Roach went behind Impact's Lurker and lured a Lurker shot on it, so the Splash accidentally killed his own Lurker. A big mistake there. Well, an unfortunate accident, one should say, for Impact, but a lucky turn of events for Armani because that one Lurker on the low ground was doing massive damage to him.
3 bases, that's all Armani has been on for 17 minutes, but he managed to just get a good enough army that never actually maxed out. It was just better, especially with Impact giving away so much supply of those mutas, not being helpful. And now he's completely turned it around. He's trying to go into the natural. The Fungal does help the defense, well, the aggression of Armani in Impact's natural. It's a very weird way to say it. The Hive will go down if that is broken, and I think it is, and that's Impact tapping out. Armani holds on for 14 minutes and actually wins a game where he just, I win him right now. Like, those types of games are supposed to be super frustrating. You feel like you're in the dark, behind all the time. You're hoping for the Hail Mary. That doesn't happen. I guess in a way, the Nidus Storm was the other Hail Mary he did.
Yeah, I mean, that was crazy. He can't even believe it. He's like, wait, what? How did I survive? I just got punched in the face 16 times and then won the game. What? I mean, we said the win condition was, basically Impact had to get over eager and walk into Lurkers, and he did it a few times in a row. The mutas went into the Fungal. Then we saw the units try to force their way through the Lurkers. There was no need for Impact to push there. He was on 5 bases versus 3, and he also built about 40 Hydralisks. You've got to add a few Vipers in there. Imagine just 2 Blinding Clouds with that push. It would have opened things up. So, I mean, that was just getting over eager. It shouldn't have cost him the game, but as you said, the Nidus Worm on the other side to completely combo with it. Impact's mistake turned into a game-ending one just because of that Nidus in the main.
Yeah, I feel like the Nidus Worm never got up in the main specifically too. Like maybe it gets up in the middle of the map and it's a little annoying. It's still like something that Impact just gives up a 5th he didn't really need or could go to the other 6th or something like that. But getting on top of technology, getting on top of production really was quite brutal. And then having that easy access back to defend when Impact threatened the base race. That was a really well-played game from Armani, just like mentally, in my opinion, as someone who's been on like the receiving side of those mutas. It sucks so much. And he actually held strong. I also wonder how much Impact was feeling overconfident because he probably looked at his supply max.
Yeah.
And they realized like it was in mutas that aren't necessarily useless, but that was also when he suicided them.
I mean, you want to get rid of them, right? But you want to get something for it. And that was a little bit of a throwaway there. So unfortunately, things did turn upside down for him. But a fantastic start in that last game. Let's see if he can get back on track in map 2. Up here in the top left, in the red, he is Impact. And
in the bottom right, I mean, it's a little cheeky. Next 12 pulling, it is the blue Zerg, Armani.
You know, much like Armani, 12 pull never goes out of style. It's a good, aggressive build. Going to go for the cancel on the opponent's natural expansion. Get your own expansion up behind it. And for Impact, there's a couple ways you can respond to this. One is to pull workers down, to kind of skirmish with those Zerglings. Just keep attacking them and force them to turn their attention on the drones. Pull back, re-engage, pull back, re-engage. Just buy time until you've got your own Zerglings out. Keep the hatchery alive, and then you're all good. The other one is, of course, to give up the hatchery just to stay in your main base, not lose any mining time. Usually the sub-optimal option. Losing a hatch is considered, you know, it does put you behind a little bit. But you've got to make a very quick decision as Impact, because you're not going to know if there's a gas follow-up or not. You don't know if there's Zergling speed, you don't know if there's Banelings, until that Overlord actually taps your opponent's natural. So we're going to see exactly what Impact's...
it is the drone pull version, yes! Yes, Armani, yes!
And
like, absolutely do that.
Dodging the Overlords
You just got a relief of a game number 1, and you're just like, you know what? I didn't even think I was going to have this game up. I'm just going to go for it. Absolutely do it. He's dodging the Overlord. Impact is actually keeping his larva, perhaps waiting to see a confirmation of Lings.
Wait, yeah, normally you'd be building drones right now.
Yeah, or an Overlord.
Impact's
like,
crazy. Impact, he knows. Oh, he built a drone.
Drone. No.
He wants a few more. He wants a few more drones, and but he doesn't. He doesn't build them.
There we go.
And he starts 6 Lings. That's a good start to the response there for Impact. He's already pulling some drones over. Realizes, whoa, wait a second, 3 spine crawlers in my base. He's going to start his own spine crawler in the back. He's waiting for those Zerglings, but look at that. The drones and the Lings are surrounding the eggs. They want to surround those eggs when they pop out.
Yeah, he's not going to get the opportunity also to defend his spine crawlers. If one gets up, that's going to be very helpful, but Impact's also getting a spine crawler. He wants to cancel at least 2 of these. He's taking the engagement on the right side. Drone's been pulled for both parties. 1 spine crawler is canceled, not killed. That drone's still in the fight.
A lot of Lings from Impact have been surrounded and shut down quickly here. That's a lot of his damage output, and as these 2 spines get close to finishing here, even though there's a queen, this is so close. This could go either way. The drone's going back and forwards. The spine crawler coming down. That queen pulls back. She barely survives on red hit points and then turns back into the fight. One of the spine crawlers microed by Armani to take it down. The spine crawler of Impact falls as well. 2 spines still stand. Another Ling traps the queen, but no, the drones come back, save the queen, and that is still 10 workers for Impact, only 4 for Armani.
This is so crazy. It's not the first time we've seen something like this happen, but dang, I did not expect it. More Lings are on the way, but Armani can really only afford so many. He also will not have a queen for injects, not that he'd ever have enough minerals to even use it. And the spine crawler is going to try and make its way down the natural. It's going to be really tough. A body block with the drones and the queen. It can't root off of creep, guys. It needs to get on a creep. It actually does get on a creep as the drones are pulled to deal with the Lings. Just a few Lings at a time here from Armani is allowing the spine crawler access to the natural. The Lings do die, but the spine crawler can't do it.
Just too much lost mining time there for Impact. He wasn't able to keep up Ling production during all that. Even loses the spawning pool, which means no more ability to build Zerglings. And that spine crawler, 2 armor, 25 damage a shot. And Armani, after a huge turnaround in game 1, is going to just sneak a quick series there. Oh my lord.
I absolutely love it. The fact that he was just so relieved about that last game. I just feel like in his mind, he was like, this is a different game I thought I was going to have.
He's like, well,
I got the chance.
Lady Luck is on my side today.
Right?
Let's take it for all it's worth.
Absolutely. Go to the casino after this, man. Like, it's going to work out great for you. That was sick. That was also, I mean, a tiny bit of an upset. Historically, Impact has been a slightly better player, but Armani, I mean, he's proving that they are actually relatively close, and he's proving that he can carry momentum, that's for sure. So he's advancing on to the round of 24, wishing Impact good luck in the lower bracket.
That is a rough turn of events there for this young man. But you know what? In the end, that patience, that determination, Armani does go through to the next round. Guys, we'll be right back with the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice in just a moment.